my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into...
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to State of the Steelers. I'm Daniel J., your host. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. As always, we are a few days away from the 4th of July. The big contest, the big giveaway is only a couple of days away. We're giving away 2 tickets to see the Pittsburgh Steelers play live against the New York Jets on October 2nd. These tickets are in the lower level. And the only thing you have to do to enter into the contest is be a subscriber. We encourage you guys to hit the notification button. That way you get notified of all our lives and our daily segments and breaking news. And also for that announcement for that contest, as you guys will have to be on the live to, you'd have to be on the live to get those tickets. So please hit that like and subscribe. What we're doing tonight is we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. We're going to talk a little bit of Steelers. I know it's a little bit of the dead time and there's not much going on, but right now, we'll see what's going on. Here recently, the Steelers have signed Larry Ogunjobi. He came out with Jim Miller on Sirius XM radio, spoke a little bit about talking to some of the NFL defensive players that are out there. Brought up an interesting name. He stated that Mason Rudolph had reached out to him. He was pretty quick to say that, so I thought that was kind of funny, given the situation that had occurred with him and Mason during that Myles Garrett situation. We got somebody in the live chat. How's it going, George? Good seeing you here. What else has happened here recently? We signed Larry Ogunjobi. Mike Tomlin was on the Pivot podcast. He spoke a lot about, gave a great insight about who he is as a man and as a coach. And I thought that was a fantastic podcast. It showed what type of coach that Mike Tomlin is and how his effect, not only on the players, but also coaches, when he spoke about Brian Flores, but also players that aren't even on his team. And I felt that it was a great show and a great insight as to who he is, a man. Also recently, I believe it was on the Varsity House podcast, there was Minkah Fitzpatrick, Chase Claypool, and Miles Boykin all together in one podcast. It was a great listen. I highly encourage you guys to go listen in on that. But what I took from that podcast, guys, was that Minkah Fitzpatrick is significantly more mature than Chase Claypool. I know that here recently, myself, Steelers Nation Australia, and Pittsburgh Owen were together on a live. It happened yesterday. Go catch that. After the live, we spoke a lot about Chase Claypool and how we felt about his immaturity. And if you go listen to that podcast there, it really goes into it goes into how much more mature Minkah Fitzpatrick is. Chase Claypool brought up a lot about how, his TikToks and how he intends to continue to do the TikToks later on and being a presence on YouTube, because that was his brand. And that's how he was able to, put his name out there in the beginning. And it was just kind of, they brought up also the college paying players. And this was extremely, you could tell the difference in maturity in that aspect. You would see Chase Claypool bringing up how going out in college and how $10 or $20 could go a long way partying. And Minkah Fitzpatrick brought up how he had a rough, time coming up, and how that money, if he would have been in college and they would have been playing players then, how that would have impacted his, his life. He would have seen it as a blessing to give back to his parents and to his family back home. And so it was a really good insight as far as what type of players these guys are. Minkah Fitzpatrick talked about how when he sees TikToks and TikTokers on the opposing sideline or whatnot, he doesn't feel that those players are dogs, so to speak, and have that, aggressiveness that comes with being a football player. And he says that it amps him up, and a lot of defensive players it would. I know Miles Boykin and Chase Claypool stated that if they saw somebody who was TikToking, they really wouldn't care. However, it's I feel it'd be kind of interesting that the given the fact that one's on offense and the other guy's on defense, how their mind and their perspective on the opinion of being a TikToker or a YouTuber is. And so it's just very interesting. So we have our first question, guys. Please ask your questions, get them in. I love this is your podcast or your vidcast tonight where I'll be answering all your questions. So Jonathan Martinez asked, what are your thoughts on that Watson fellow? Well, we'll be going up against the Cleveland Browns twice this year. And, Deshaun Watson's going to have an impact on the Pittsburgh Steelers, given the fact that we're going to be facing that team twice. I think that he put himself in a position to not play this entire year. I think that the NFL should look at what the MLB did with a recent suspension of 2 years from a pitcher perspective. I believe he had a domestic violence case on him. Deshaun Watson has 26, ongoing. I think he settled 20 of the 26 cases of sexual misconduct. And, I don't think he's going to be here this year. And I think the Browns have really browned themselves on this situation. When you think about it, they pissed off the only quarterback that's ever done anything for their franchise since they've came back. And made him go away. And then they gave away 3 first-round picks and a whole lot more, plus gave him guaranteed money for a player that, by all means, I think that there's a good opportunity. He may not see the field this year nor next year, given the fact that he didn't see the field last year. I mean, at 3 years, you'd have to understand there'd be some type of deterioration of play. You know what I mean? And because of that, you can't expect him to be the same player. I mean, it's a long period of time. I feel that, even if he comes back next year, that's 2 whole years without play. He's not going to be the same player. He wasn't a great player to begin with, in my opinion. I think that the Cleveland Browns have gotten exactly what they deserve. And I think the NFL needs to look at the Houston Texans. It's been apparently brought out to a lot of folks' attention that the Houston Texans may have, somehow enabled Deshaun Watson to have have these masseuses by making them sign NDAs and things of that nature. So they were completely aware of what he was doing. There's 26 allegations, but there was 66 women apparently in a 17-month span. So, there's still 40 something, women or 40 women out there that are ready to, that at any point can still make a claim against them. Look at there. We got Steelers Nation Australia. How's it going, Mark? I'm glad to see you on the show. You guys can go back after this show. We did a live yesterday, myself, Mark, and Pittsburgh Owen, where we talked a little bit about Steelers football and how we became fans and things of that nature. I know the guys answered how they became Steeler fans. I'm going to answer it today how I became a Steelers fan. I became a Steelers fan from birth. My father, I'm from Texas, and my father was the kind of guy that goes against the grain, so to speak. And in the 70s, it was the Steelers versus the Cowboys. I'm sure a lot of you guys can remember that rivalry. And, everybody around here was a Cowboy fan. And so my dad was like, you know what? I'm going to be a Steelers fan just to kind of stick it to everybody. And then he did. And then he was able to have the bragging rights for, almost from the 70s all the way to the 1995 season when we lost to him in the Super Bowl there. So my dad had the bragging rights and whatnot. He became a Steelers fan, and I was basically born with a pigskin in my hand. I love football coming out, and so I was a huge fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers as soon as I could remember. I honestly can remember probably the 1993 season. I remember our loss against Joe Montana as he played with the Chiefs, and how heartbreaking that was. I was born in 1986, so I was only 7 years old at the time, and that was probably my first heartbreak. But come on, guys, let's bring in some more questions. This is y'all's vidcast, so I'm here to answer any questions you guys may have. But that's how I became a fan. Let's see. I agree. 2 of the best Super Bowls were the Steelers versus the Cowboys. I wasn't around to see them. I have seen the game since, and seen highlights and also the full games in their entirety. Great games, great battle. Loved it. The rivalry has been there. The rivalry is still there. I remember the unfortunate loss in 1995 or 96 actually, where we should have won that game. Everybody had their bets and their minds and everything were on the Dallas Cowboys, and nobody expected the Pittsburgh Steelers to go in there and do what they did. And they almost be, if it wasn't for a couple of Neil O'Donnell interceptions, that we should have 7 rings at this point, so it's exciting to think back about. But at the end of the day, we didn't get it. It was my first real heartbreak. I was 10 years old. I didn't go to school for a week. Living in Texas, it was the bullying was real after that Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, we have more than them, and we're going to get 7 here pretty soon. Let's see. We got another question in. Steelers fan asks, if Watson is out for the year, should the Steelers sweep the Browns? Well, if Watson wasn't out for the year, I think the Steelers would be sweeping the Browns anyways. But I think that the consensus would be that the Pittsburgh Steelers should sweep the Browns this year. Who do they have behind Deshaun Watson? They have Brisket, or can't even pronounce his name, and then they have Dobbs. I don't think that either one of those quarterbacks are going to be better than Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett coming in. Like I've said it before, guys, I don't think that Mason Rudolph is going to make the 53 come the time, week 1 comes. And so I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they want to, I think that their quarterback position is significantly better than the Browns position right now. I don't see Baker Mayfield coming back. It would be very interesting to see if Baker Mayfield ends up going to the Carolina Panthers, because I believe week 1 for the Cleveland Browns is in Carolina. So that would be extremely exciting to see. I think that would be a revenge game for Baker, and it'd be kind of funny. But I digress on that. I think that the Cleveland Browns have put themselves to be 4th in the division because of their, what happened or whatever you want to call it when it comes to Deshaun Watson. And I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be expected to sweep them. I know that the big question mark on our team is going to be quarterback, just like the Cleveland Browns. But our quarterback position, or our quarterback room, in my opinion, we have a former Pro Bowler in Mitch Trubisky. Whether or not he played to that status or will continue to play to that status, he was a decent quarterback in this league, and compared to the other quarterbacks in question, has more resume, so to speak. And so if Kenny Pickett can beat him, then that just means he's a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. And so I think that Mitch Trubisky right now is better than Brisket, and is also better than Dobbs. And so if Kenny Pickett can beat Mitch Trubisky, then I think that automatically puts him better than those Browns quarterbacks. And so you have Mitch Trubisky, who's a former Pro Bowler. I think he's a better quarterback than them. The question mark is because all the quarterbacks that are on our team, none of them started last year as far as an NFL team outside of Mason Rudolph in 1 game. And that's a big question mark. And a lot of people are seeing us as being a team that's underrated. And I think that at the end of the day, we're going to surprise a lot of people. Let's see. Jonathan Martinez asked, do the Pittsburgh Steelers play Jacksonville Jaguars this year? I do not think so. I believe we do not play them. It would be interesting to see. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. But I'm pretty sure we don't. Let's see what's going on. Oh, whatever. Don't blame the bullies. No. Back in 1995, that game, that Super Bowl really did take me pretty hard. Living here in Texas and all my friends being Cowboy fans and having to go back to school and see them. It was for several years that I had to withstand that torture until the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up winning a Super Bowl again in 2005 against the Seattle Seahawks, where at that point we became, we had 5 at that point. And then once we got our 6th one, we became solely on top until dang Patriots came and cheated their way in. But that's another story for another day. What else do you guys have? We're about 15 minutes into it. I would like to see more questions coming in, guys. Let's see. Steeler fan says, coming into the 2022 season, are the Steelers underrated, overrated, or accurately rated? That's a great question. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going in very underrated. They're going under the radar, so to speak. Nobody's really giving us a chance. I think that we were predicted to be somewhere around the 6th position for the draft next year. So if we're going to be in that position, we'd have to have a really horrible year. I don't think that Mitch Trubisky is that bad of a quarterback. Mike Tomlin isn't going to coach a team. He's never coached a team under 500, much less a team into the top 10. And so I think that we're extremely underrated. And I think that's a good thing. I think that teams are going to overlook us, and teams are going to think that we're a team full of TikTokers and not teams that are I was going to come in there and punch you in the mouth. And I think that with Brian Flores and with Mike Tomlin, I think that's definitely going to change. We're definitely going to change our attitude. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to be, he's growing into a leader. And if you go and watch that podcast and you can hear the way he talks and sounds, he's real adult about things. You can hear the difference between him and Claypool, and he's taking care of that defense. And you can really hear Mike Tomlin coming through Minka Fitzpatrick when he talks, and you can hear that through a lot of the guys, whether it's Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, when they speak and when they're out there in the press conference. And this is why sometimes they get in trouble. You'll hear them say Browns are the Browns or gray nameless faces. And those are things that are Tomlinisms. And those aren't things that are bad. Those are things that are good. That means that what Tomlin is preaching is going through to these players, and they're able to, put that out there. And if you've seen that Pivot podcast and how Mike Tomlin was able to move, everybody who's watched that show, imagine being a player underneath him. You're not going to go out there and not perform for that man. And so there's no way that we're going to be bottom in our division, especially with the Deshaun Watson mishap. I don't think that we're going to be in the bottom of the division. We're going to have nowhere near to be in the top 10 of next year's draft unless we draft away somebody. But I think we're coming in very underrated, and I think it's a good thing. We start off the season, in Cincinnati, and I think that's a pretty good test, and that's a show. It's going to be a statement game. We're in Cincinnati. That's a division rival. That's the team that's won the AFC North last year, and they were in the representatives for the AFC in the Super Bowl. And so, with that being said, if we can go in there and smack them around, we're, as my friend Mark D says, we're really going to shut up those Mike Tomlin haters, and I'm looking forward to it. So I really like it. I think we're going to be good. Let's see what else we got in here. Let's see. Daniel Rocha goes, how often line are they vets? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, buddy. How often line are they vets? We have, maybe you're trying to ask me how often line are the vets? Please rephrase that. I'm not sure what you mean. Let's see. Let's go to the next question. From Steelers fan, do you feel like the schedule for this year will be a hard one or easy one like apple pie? Where we currently have the third ranked easiest schedule based on performance last year. Now, every year teams are going to change. Situations happen that are different. For instance, last year, the Denver Broncos didn't make the playoffs and weren't very good, but now they got Russell Wilson and projected to be a better team. Who knows? We'll see. But you have teams that's all projected off of last year. I think that the schedule this year is going to be one in our favor. I think basically, like I answered earlier, when it comes to us being underrated or overrated, I think that's going to really help us. Similar to the Cincinnati Bengals last year, nobody was really taking them serious when they were coming in. And I think that might end up being the case this year. We have Mitch Trubisky, we have Kenny Pickett, a rookie coming in, and not many teams are going to think that, hey, they're going to be looking at us thinking that we're going to be, basically the Steelers of old. We lost our franchise quarterback and whatnot. And a lot of folks are really putting a lot of weight into that. And so, it's just kind of, we'll see. But let's look at the schedule. Let's kind of break it down, go game by game, and figure out what's going on. So we start off in the Bengals, at Bengals in Cincinnati. And so that's a 1:00 game. I'm surprised that's not a primetime game, to be honest with you guys, given the fact that this is the defending AFC champs. However, it's a 1:00 game. We have the Patriots after that at home, and the Browns, who, like we just spoke about, that are probably without Deshaun Watson, and then the Jets. I think that first, bunch right there, the hardest team that we're going to play, of course, is going to probably be the Bengals going in, just because they do got a solid defense and a solid offensive rushing attack with Nixon. But I don't believe in Joe Burrow. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. And I've said it before. The NFL is a copycat league. I think that the NFL saw what the Cincinnati Bengals were able to do and probably attested more of their, success to the wide receiver position, especially Jamar Chase. And I think it's evident when you look at the draft and what the teams were willing to do to go up in the draft to pick up receivers, and the crazy trades and how much teams are paying receivers right now. I think that that's all reflective on the fact that of what Jamar Chase was able to do. Now, when you have a skill position like that, if you have a good defense and a good defensive coach, which we have, Mike Tomlin, who's our head coach, but he's defensive mind, Terrell Austin, and Brian Flores there, I think they're going to be able to scheme out a skill position. And I think we're going to do fairly well against the Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The only team, like I said, that's going to be tough is going to be there, but I really honestly see us going 4-0 in that opening stretch. I really think that's going to help us. It's going to help our confidence. Whoever's going to be the starting quarterback in there, going 4-0 right away, on a new team is going to be amazing for them. Nobody really knows what to expect when it comes to the Steelers. So not only are we under the radar, but we don't know what to expect with the Matt Canada offense. We have a new quarterback who's a lot more mobile. It's going to open up the playbook significantly more. I know Mason Rudolph isn't, the biggest, not everybody likes him so much, but he did mention that the Steelers playbook was down to about maybe 30% of what it was, due to the fact that the quarterback position wasn't as mobile as it could have been. And so I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised with what we're going to do, and we're going to have an opportunity to surprise some folks. And these 4 games right off the bat, I think are games that we can definitely win, and then, make a statement and build a lot of confidence. But we'll go back into more of the schedule here later on. Let's see. All right. Mr. Daniel Rocha asks his question, is the offensive line vets or do they have new guys? I believe they're all young. And so they're experienced, but they're young. We have on the left side, you're going to have Dan Moore, who was a rookie last year. He flashed pretty good, but at the end of the day, he did make a lot of rookie mistakes. At left guard, there's going to be a battle between the third year Kevin Dotson and the second year Kendrick Green. Kendrick Green played last year majority of the year at center position. He was a little bit undersized and found his way on the ground quite a bit. Dotson, earlier on in the season coming in, it was reported that he wasn't, he came in, not to par when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers standards. And there were some questions about what it was, whether it was conditioning or whatnot. A lot of folks think it was a preparation standard. Apparently, he didn't rest and recover his body correctly. And I think that impacted his coming into the offseason last year. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't happy with him. In fact, they brought in Ray Turner earlier on as to show Dotson that the position wasn't his and that they would go shopping for a different guard if need be. Our center position is going to be a new one. It's Mason Cole. He played majority of the right guard position for the Minnesota Vikings last year. He was a part of the offensive line that really pushed us around against us on that Thursday night, allowing David Cook to really, eat a lot and kill us on the run. And so, if he can bring that kind of performance and whatnot, then I think he's going to be a staple point at center. The biggest free agent pickup, in my opinion, is going to be James Daniel. He's going to be at the right guard position. He pass blocking, run blocking, he can kind of do it all. He's going to be the leader of this offense. I had Pittsburgh Owen on yesterday, and he spoke in depth about the offensive line and his belief in James Daniels, and I believe him as well. And I think that he's actually very accurate when it comes to what he's saying about the offensive line. And then next to him is going to be on the right side is going to be Chuks Okorafor. We just gave him a significant amount of money. We gave him an extension. From what I understand, though, is that extension was front loaded. So the Steelers have an ability to get out of that contract after the end of this year. So this year's kind of still, a put up or shut up type of year for Chuks Okorafor. Last year our rushing offense was horrible, and our passing was just as bad. Ben Roethlisberger had to get rid of the ball so quickly, and a lot of it could have been due to his age and his inability to throw the ball down the field and reading defenses quickly enough to throw the ball or whatnot as receivers were coming down open down the field. And a lot of it also was due to the offensive line just being pretty poor. We he was sacked so many different times, so many times. I think it was somewhere around 40 plus times, when the year previously it was somewhere under 20. And so it more than doubled. And we're definitely going to need these guys to step up this year. But as far as veterans, they are experienced. I will say it that they are not rookies, but they have a lot to prove. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. George Tessa says they are all pros, so nothing will be easy, I think. No, nothing will be easy, and everybody that you play is a professional team. I understand that the 4 games in front of us are going to be difficult because they are NFL teams, and I think you're talking about the schedule and what I was going over. Going 4-0 in the NFL is something that is tough to do. It's not easy. I just see that the games that they're going up against is something that would favor the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially because of their defensive unit. Mac Jones, there was a game last year he won. I think he only did 2 passes, and that was against the Buffalo Bills. And so, Belichick didn't give him enough belief in his arm during that game. I don't have that much. He's an accurate quarterback, and he's pretty good in Mac Jones. But I think that the Steelers are pretty good at scheming for new quarterbacks. I think that the real test is going to come in that second quarter when you have Buffalo Bills, the Buccaneers, and the Eagles. Even Miami is getting kind of tough. They're in that as well. Well, let's read them all out. It's Buffalo, it's Tampa Bay, it's Miami, and then it's the Eagles. I think that's going to be our toughest, string of 4 games. I'm hoping we can at least split them. We're going against Tampa Bay, and one thing that let's start off first with the Buffalo Bills game. That's going to be a tough game. We've always played them very tough, whether it was Ben Roethlisberger or Duck or whoever. It's always gone down to the wire. Both coaches were from William and Marion and know each other very well. And it's just going to be a tough, odd game. That's going to be a hand-toss game. The fact that it's in Buffalo, I'll be honest, I'll give the edge to Buffalo Bills in this game. But, Pittsburgh Steelers play very tough, and I think they're going to be in every game this year. We're in every game last year for the most part, even though we had to come back in miraculous ways. We were in most games last year, and we had a significantly inexperienced team compared to this year, and an older quarterback that was less mobile. Tampa Bay is the next game. We're going to see Tom Brady probably in his last year in the NFL. Father Time has to catch up to him eventually. So we'll see how that goes. Their team is pretty good. They got a solid defense. It's going to be tough. These next 4 games are going to be the tough games. We're at Miami. It's in October. I think that's the biggest plus again, for that game. We've fallen to the Miami Dolphins a couple of times due to the heat and the humidity. So it's very behoove of us to have to go play out there in October versus, earlier on in the season. And then we're going to play in Philadelphia. Now, I'm not worried about the team and their talent or whatnot, but playing in Philadelphia has always been a difficult place for us to play and has been a challenge. It's been a long time since we've actually won in Philadelphia. This will be a good test for us. Their defense is solid. Their defensive front line is amazing. It'll be a true test for our offensive line to see how far we've come. And if we're running very well at this point, we'll see if this is, it'll be a true test at that point. But yeah, guys, that's what I have right there. Let's see. What else do we have? Steelers Nation Australia says Tampa Bay. I hope we smack Brady. I hope so too. In fact, I'll be at that game, guys. So if you guys are in Pittsburgh or will be attending the Buccaneers game, I know there's a lot of folks that are anticipated to go to that game, given the fact that it is Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. But if you guys are out there, let me know. We'll be there. Let's see what else we have. George Teston says, if Canada's offense does not pan out this year, how long do you think they give him? Ooh, that's a good question. That depends who starts at quarterback, to be honest with you. If Kenny Pickett starts this year for whatever reason and it doesn't pan out, then I think the Canada leash will be shortened significantly. If Mitch Trubisky is the starter and he's a starter for the majority of the year, there will be an excuse there to be said that it wasn't with the quarterback that Matt Canada's wanted or drafted in Kenny Pickett. And so I think that's going to boil down to who's going to be the QB starting week one. If for whatever reason, let's just say come the bye week, Mitch Trubisky's not doing so well. The offense is staggering, similar to last year, and it's looking pretty poor. I think that's when we pull the Kenny Pickett alarm and he comes in. And if the offense looks the same at that point, then I think that's when all eyes are pointed at Matt Canada. He won't have any excuse at that point, but it's basically going to come down to who's starting at quarterback, in my opinion. But we'll see. I know there's been a lot of heat towards Matt Canada lately just because of the fact that last year our offense was really poor, and it's been really poor for some time now. And, I look back to the 2020 season, and the last game of the season, it was the Cleveland Browns game in which Mason Rudolph came in and didn't win. And everybody was saying that was the Matt Canada offense and that Matt Canada was going to be running the plays for that team. But the Steelers never confirmed that was true. We saw more motion. We saw a little bit different stuff. We saw going down the field a little bit more than what Ben Roethlisberger had shown the entire 2020 season up to that point. And so that offense looked different then compared to what it was with Fichtner in there. And so I can only assume that the offense is going to look also different with Canada in there with a different quarterback. Now, we had one game against the Lions this year where we had a tie where Mason Rudolph played the entire game. And in that game, Mason Rudolph threw the ball 50 plus times. And it's the offense. He threw the ball a little bit further down the field. And it really wasn't Mason's fault. Mason didn't fumble the ball twice in overtime. But Mason really didn't shine either. He threw an interception and one skip day ball to Ray McLeod. The offense didn't really look much different. But Tomlin has been pretty known to be very routine and to run the same type of game plan no matter who's in there. And I think that they ran a Ben Roethlisberger game plan in that game as well. It was very obvious that it was similar. We were doing a lot of the same stuff and throwing the ball so many times. I think that this year's going to be a true test to see what Matt Canada's offense really is going to look like. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. I'll take a few more guys, and then I'm going to be heading out because it's 4th of July weekend. Don't forget, guys, Monday we're giving away 2 tickets to see the Steelers play live in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field, and all you have to do to be entered into that contest is be a subscriber. It's going to be in the lower level. It's in the end zone. In fact, I'll pull up a picture to show you guys what it looks like. Those are the seats, guys. All you have to do is be a subscriber. Please hit that like and subscribe and be on the live on July 4th. So you want to hit that notification button. The reason being is you'll have to be present to claim the prize. But with that said, let's get back into the comments. I'll be just taking a few more and then we'll go forward from here. Let's see. Steelers fan says, do you feel like Najee with muscle gain is going to slow his speed, or do you feel like he'll have a better chance to push off others with his game? That is an amazing question. Najee wasn't a burner to begin with. He was a bruiser back, and so he didn't have that getaway speed. He didn't have that fifth gear, so to speak, to break away. I know he had a long run last year against the Cleveland Browns in the Ben farewell game, but for the most part, his game was always a pound the opposing team, and then slowly break out. And so I don't think that him gaining weight is going to do anything bad to his speed. I think if anything else, it's just going to allow him to take on the hits a lot better and allow him to take on the rigors that they're going to put him through. He's a bell cow type of running back. Mike Tomlin has been known to run his quarterbacks into the ground. And I think that this muscle gain is only going to benefit him due to the extended season. It's another year with 17 games, another year where only one team gets a bye into the playoffs. And I strongly believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the playoffs this year. And, that first seed is going to be very tough to get to. And so if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to make a run, they're going to play 17 regular season games, 3 postseason games, and 1 Super Bowl game. That's a lot of games to go through. So I think that his weight gain and having that extra muscle is good for him, is going to be good for the longevity of the season and for his career. But we'll see. Season's around the corner. Everybody's saying that, seeing OTAs and mini camp have stated that Najee looks faster and like amazing. Looks like a superhero out there. Let's see what else is going on here. Hey, Gene, I'm glad you can make it. Thank you for the support. Let's see what else we have. George Teston, what do you think the Steelers need more? Another offensive tackle or another running back to spell Najee? I think we're okay. I think the Steelers are content with who they have at the offensive tackle position. I think that bearing injury or some kind of, debacle at the offensive tackle position during preseason, that we're solidified in those outside tackle positions. They don't really rotate. Now, the running back does. The running back getting tackled and the running back takes hits. And so I think it's more important for us to get that second running back. Right now we have Snell and we have McFarland, who have been there before. I know we have a free agent, undrafted free agent. I can't think of his name for the life of me right now, but none of them are assured things, are assured running backs. Snell has been the kind of back that needs to get rhythm, needs to build and beat down the defense, and then over time start to break off runs, and then in the fourth quarter really wear you down. And with Najee Harris in front of him, that makes it almost impossible for that to happen. And so he's never going to get into that rhythm. He's never going to be that back. And so I'm not sure why he's even still on our team, to be honest, outside of maybe his special teams ability. But we need somebody that's going to spell Najee. McFarland's a small guy. He's a change of pace dude. He's not a running back that's going to take on, any type of significant amount of play snaps away from Najee Harris. Last year, there was a lot of talk that Najee and McFarland were in the backfield at the same time. I'm interested in seeing that, to be honest with you. I think that would be amazing. The misdirection that can be had with that type of formation would be amazing. And would be significantly confusing to the defenses. But I think that that's important. Najee Harris, he got beat down last year. And if you remember in the playoffs, he wasn't there very much of the game. And he was beat up. And I think that it would be important and behoove of us if we picked up a backup running back to kind of spell a D'Angelo Williams, so to speak, to our Le'Veon Bell. Great question. Thank you. Let's see. Gene Smith says he still likes the idea of a corner or OL guy or offensive line. Yeah, the cornerback position's a little bit, also another one that isn't. We don't have any short guys there with the loss of Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden was somebody who was a name. Everybody knew who he was. He had the resume. He had, everything that you would want in a cornerback. But he's also gotten up there in age and taken a step back. And so, I really wish that Joe would have came back and, played maybe inside or played special packages to play maybe a covering safety, in his some of the interceptions that he had as a Pittsburgh Steeler was coming off of his, man and, hovering over and taking somebody else. I believe that was the case with his interception on Tom Brady. He wasn't covering, I believe it was thrown to Gronk. He wasn't covering Gronk. He pulled off of his receiver and intercepted that ball. And Durant, yes, there. Thank you, George Teston, on the running back. Joe Hayden pulled off the receiver and was able to intercept Tom Brady. And, those are moves that are commonly done also, in the safety position. And I think it would have been amazing to see him as a cover safety. He doesn't have the body type or whatnot to be a in the box type of safety, but I think he would have been a great safety to be out there in coverage, similar to like what Rod Woodson was able to transition. I was really hoping he would do that, but he didn't. So now we got to move on, and such is life in the NFL, as Mike Tomlin would say. And I think that Levi Wallace coming over from the Buffalo Bills is a great pickup. The Pittsburgh Steelers have never been a team that assigns a cornerback to the opposing team's number one. They've kind of had their cornerbacks stay on one side or another. And so, solidifying a sure number one cornerback isn't that important in this position with the style of defense that we play. We don't need an island style corner. Minka Fitzpatrick is also going to shore up a lot of the problems that our secondary is gonna have. And what a lot of people don't realize is the secondary's best friend is going to be the pass rush. Alex Highsmith is coming into his third year and is expected to make a huge jump. And I think that if he can do, something about and get some double digit sacks, somewhere around 10 to 13 and have a presence similar to Bud Dupree before he left us, or left the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm sorry. I think that would be huge for our secondary. And I think that's a lot of the reason why in 2019 that we had so many interceptions and whatnot was because of the pass rush on both sides. I know TJ Watt had 22 and a half sacks last year, but he was basically doing it on his own. As far as the linebacker position, Alex Highsmith only had 6. The defensive line really pushed up more. I mean, Cam Hayward had a few. I think he got pretty close to double digit. I'm not sure how many he had off the top of my head. And Chris Wormley had 7, which was more than Alex Highsmith. So if Alex Highsmith can get double digits, make it to that 12 range or so, I think that's really going to help out our secondary and help out our defense in whole. And in all honesty, what's really going to be helpful is going to be our offense. If our offense can just hold the ball for a little bit longer than what they did last year, that would be tremendous for the health of our defense. But we'll see. I can't wait for this season to start. I'm going to be going to training camp, guys. I'll be there Friday Night Lights and the Thursday before Friday Night Lights. So if you guys are there, please come say hi and hello. But I'm so looking forward to seeing what our offense is going to look like there. Excuse me. The Friday Night Lights is like a scrimmage between the offense and defense, and that'll give us an idea of what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be doing this season. And I'll be reporting all on it. So please, again, hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss any of that content. Let's see. And George Teston agrees with me. The secondary will be okay as long as the pass rush is there. And I think they're going to be – I mean, it's a team game, guys. The defense was there, and the pass rush could have been amazing. I mean, if we look at the playoff game against the Chiefs, we held the Chiefs 5 possessions in a row without a point. In fact, our defense was able to score before the Chiefs' offense were. And if we were to have an offense that could have done anything and maintained the ball during that time, we could have changed the outcome of that game alone and the season alone completely. And so, it's a team game. Everybody's involved, but, I'm super excited for what's about to happen this year. I know that, yesterday with the live with Pittsburgh, Owen and Mark out of Steelers Nation Australia, we spoke afterwards. And we're talking about what we think that the Steelers can really do this year as far as their record goes. And all of us are pretty much around the same spot between 11 wins to 12, maybe even 13 on the high end. But we think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get double-digit wins. And, it's just one of those things where we're like the question came earlier. We're just super under the radar right now, and nobody's really counting us in. But I'm looking forward to the start of the season and how this goes. But with that being said, guys, this is getting kind of long in the tooth. We're hitting that 44-minute mark. Typically, I like to keep these down to about 35 minutes or so. And so I'll be putting a bow on it. Don't forget, guys, we're giving away 2 tickets to see the Steelers versus the Jets. I know I'm saying it quite often, but I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to enter into that contest. And the only thing you got to do to be entered is to be a subscriber. We'll be giving away those tickets on July 4th. And so with that said, guys, I'm Daniel J. The State of Steelers. Happy 4th of July and happy Independence Day. Go Steelers. Peace.